Hey soldiers, looks like Binance might be in some trouble here. Now, we know that Binance was at loggerheads with FTX and, Changpeng Zhao, him and Sam Bankman-Fried were going back and forth, that whole thing. Okay, but now Binance has troubles of its own. They have just admitted to accidentally, quote unquote, air quotes, mixing client funds with reserve tokens in a cold wallet, according to Bloomberg. Reserves for nearly half of the Binance PEG tokens, or B tokens, were stored in a wallet that also held customer assets. Now, for a long time, Binance has maintained that its client assets were backed by enough collateral to meet any redemption request.
We want to set the golden standard for reliability, solidness in this space.
So do it. Would you be able to handle it if somebody asked you for $2.1 billion back? Would that be okay? Would you be able to still withstand things?
We're financially okay.
Including you have $2.1 billion to give away. If somebody came to claw that back, you'd still be fine?
We'll let the lawyer handle it. We are financially strong.
All right, guys, so you know that mixing client funds with collateral tokens goes against Binance's own guidelines as they listed on their company website. And this is part of the reason why Sam Bankman-Fried is facing federal charges due to commingling. Binance did not immediately respond to insider requests for comment. A spokesperson for Binance told Bloomberg the funds were mixed in error. Now, we got to ask the question, was this an error? Was this just a legitimate mistake, or is somebody getting nervous based on all of the fallout in the crypto space? We just did the Winklevoss twins and the difficulty they're having over at Gemini. Of course, we've done reports ad nauseum about the FTX scandal. Is somebody over at Binance saying, hey, look, let's get out in front of this, or try to at least? I don't know. Binance is aware of this mistake and is in the process of transferring these assets to dedicated collateral wallets, the world's largest crypto exchange told Bloomberg. Now, again, guys, I cannot say this enough. It is my hope that everyone listening to or watching this channel achieves financial independence. And one of the ways to make sure you do that is by not losing money. Again, we've got more and more proof coming out that crypto and unregulated nature of the industry is definitely not lending itself to the best interest of those people who are putting their faith in these exchanges. And I think that's unfortunate. The B tokens, the Binance B tokens, are meant to be backed one-to-one in locked reserves by the cryptos they're based off of. And the collateral should be stored separately from client funds. Roughly 40 B tokens are listed on Binance's website as being stored in the Binance 8 wallet. Now, listen, if any of this is above your head, hey, trust me, it's above mine too. And again, I do not invest in things I don't understand. I want it to be relatively simple for my purposes. Now, some of you may understand this to a fare thee well, and that's great. If you're going to invest in something, you certainly should have a complete or as complete as possible an understanding of it as you can, and continue to try to develop that knowledge. I don't understand any of this. This token's pegged to that coin and this, that, and the other. You know what I understand? Understand that I grow squash on a plot of land along with potatoes. And those vegetables come up out of the ground that I own, and I can use that to supplement my food supply. I understand that. I understand perfectly well the simplicity of something like gold and how it has maintained its value throughout centuries. Very simple notion to understand. I am a simple man trying to make his way in this universe, to quote Boba Fett. Well, I think that was Jango Fett, actually. So I understand things like that. I understand, a stock in a company that is producing a good or service. Okay, I know how to fundamentally analyze that stock. The rest of this stuff is amorphous. Now, maybe it just missed me because of, the generation gap. Okay, I'll be the first to concede that maybe that's what happened. But if I don't understand it, I'm not investing in it. And I don't understand this. This is, kind of mystical to me. Admit to yourself whether or not you understand it. And if you don't touch it. Now, here's something I understand. The mixing of collateral tokens with client funds makes it difficult to verify the amount of B tokens available for client redemption request. The all-important client redemption request, when somebody comes and says, hey, I want to redeem this so that I can turn it into, a widely accepted currency like the dollar, and maybe buy a dozen of eggs with it. Because my grocery store, they don't accept B tokens or whatever the hell else this is pegged to. Or I want to redeem it, turn it into a US dollar so that I can buy some gold with it, or so that I can make a mortgage payment with it. Binance has maintained that its client assets were backed by enough collateral to meet any redemptions. They sure did. They were adamant about that. But the issue of redemptions has grown in importance in the crypto industry since Binance's sale of FTX's FTT tokens in November triggered a wave of withdrawals from FTX that eventually led to a liquidity crisis and its bankruptcy. So you got this company, it's got its own tokens. Got another company over here, it's got its own tokens. Then you got the cryptocurrency over here, and that's going on. And okay, right. Listen, I'm sure somebody much smarter than me will explain it to me in the comments. Reports have since emerged that FTX transferred billions of dollars of client funds. So, yeah, I mean, you want to sell it to me. I know you got to sell it. I know you need, to make the rent. So I'm not buying it from you at full price. Binance and other crypto firms have vowed to be more transparent and have touted so-called proof of reserves as a way to ease concerns, though analysts point out they are incomplete and can be misleading. Look, they need something like, I've explained this before, they had Dodd-Frank legislation that came out during the time that I was in a regulatory capacity in the company I used to work for. And you had to, anything that ended up in that quarterly or annual report, any of the information that was key to investors being able to evaluate that entity, okay? In this case, it was the stock of Verizon, okay? But this goes for, all public companies. There are provisions in that Dodd-Frank bill. Executives will end up in prison in the event these numbers are not accurate, and there's proof of intentionally fudging those numbers. Now, this came out of the WorldCom debacle. Several other companies during that time were, Tyco was another one that got fast and loose. Enron. Okay, so they clamped down with this legislation. Now, look, I'm not a fan of a whole bunch of regulation, because the more regulation you have, the less freedom you have. But we've got to know as investors whether or not what we're investing in is sound. We've got to at least have the accurate numbers to make a educated determination on whether or not we want to put our money in, right? So this is the type of thing that's coming to the crypto space. You can best believe. Unless, another theory of mine is that all of this has been somewhat orchestrated to kick off the one domino, and now we've got other dominoes that are falling as a result. And just taking out faith in crypto as an asset and making way for the central bank digital currency of the United States of America. Okay, with the Fed and Treasury will have purview over. Okay, so much for independence, right? I believe that crypto was just an experiment to see how willing the masses were to entertain moving away from paper currency in that fashion. Now, CBDCs do have a lot of problems. Number one, chief among those problems is the fact that these countries, they want to establish these CBDCs to exercise control over the populace. Believe you me, they are salivating at the opportunity to cut off your access to funds if you don't do exactly what the government and these large corporations want you to do. Okay, so that's the dark side of the CBDC. And that's why I don't want to see it implemented. Okay, but I am obviously comfortable with not having my hands on cash every time I make a transaction because, you know, we're using these cards. We're using, you know, transferals and things like that. It's all a bunch of ones and zeros. Also understand that Binance customers have pulled 12 billion from the crypto exchange in 2 months, right?
Would you be able to handle it if somebody asked you for $2.1 billion back? Would that be okay? Would you be able to still withstand things?
We're financially okay.
Including you have $2.1 billion to give away. If somebody came to claw that back, you'd still be fine?
We'll let the lawyer handle it. We are financially strong.
So the dominoes not only are continuing to fall, but they're kind of accelerating. All right, news is happening rapidly with regard to the crypto space. Check out the report we did earlier today with regard to the Winklevoss twins. They are the owners of Gemini, the cryptocurrency exchange Gemini. They're facing some difficulties over there. They could be in some trouble dealing with, you know, funds that are missing over at Gemini. Guys, check out the report. I'll talk to you soon.